My name is Steven Ordonez, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to properly clean your pool filter. Now, before you start to clean your pool filter, there's going to be some tools that you're going to need to gather before you get started. Now, I've already gathered my tools, but I'll show you what tools you will need for this particular filter. You're going to need a rubber mallet. Every good pool guy is going to want to have a rubber mallet with them. You're going to want to have a flathead screwdriver. I prefer the longer shaft because it's a lot easier to use when you're popping the top of your pool filter. You're also going to need some DE powder, right? My pool calls for DE powder. Depending on the type of pool you have, you might need something else. If you have a saltwater pool, that would require something else. You can get all this information if you're not sure from your local pool supply. Here in town we have Leslie's, and that's what I use. But I've had a pool for the last 15 years, so I'm pretty familiar with it. But again, if you never had a pool before and you want to clean it yourself, you can watch videos like YouTube, like the one I'm going to be putting up for you, or you can call your local pool supply and they'd be glad to help you there. You're also going to want a water hose, right? We all have a water hose, so that's something that you're going to need extra. Okay, so let me set these back down. Now this particular filter, I would loosen this, and when I put it back together, that's where my mallet would come into play. When I want to take it off, my screwdriver is going to come into play, and you're going to get to see all that in a few minutes here. Some pool filters would have a washer here instead with a spring, right, and a nut. That would require a deep socket, right, and a ratchet. You would still need your rubber mallet so that you can get this all nice and tight, and it would give you more meat on the threading there to get yourself started. Okay, so here we have the pool filter. The pool filter's inside here. Okay, a good little trade tip is this is fiberglass. So you start to touch this a little too much and you're not used to it, it can start to irritate your skin. So be cautious of that. Okay, here is my valve here. I open this valve and it's called the pressure valve. It will release the pressure that's inside, right? If I simply twist it, it'll open, close it, it shuts it off. Back over here is my pool pump. So here's my pool pump. There's a little basket in there, which I'll show you how to clean that out also because it all ties in together. You're gonna wanna make sure this is off. I've already made sure it's off because I know what I'm gonna be doing, so that's already off. Now, before I start opening this up, I'm gonna wanna release all the water and all the air out of here so it makes it easier to clean. If you don't do that, you can still do it. It makes it hard, there's too much pressure. You pop this off, water comes out, you get water all over you, okay? So down here I have a little valve, right, little handle. That's on pump, that's already set on pump, and that's typically where it's at all the time unless you're cleaning your pool. That allows the water and the pressure to stay inside of my filter here, and it allows my skimmer, my vacuum, and all of that to run properly. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna switch this lever down to the right, which is set for backwash, and that's going to allow all the water to come out. Okay, I've installed this personally here. You can install one and run it longer so it doesn't get into your yard. I did it because the water would just build up here and it would flood, so I just installed this myself. You don't have to do that, that's just something extra. So let me go ahead and switch this lever. It can be a little tight, but just put a little pressure on it, it'll go, and just be cautious. So there you see the water's coming out, right? And you kind of hear it going glunk, 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 glunk. That's fine. That's normal. That's because of the air that's inside. Now, once I switch this lever, it's going to open it up and all the water is going to come out, right? And that's going to let all the water and the air that's inside the filter come out. You'll hear it right now. And you can see it flow, right? You see how dirty it is, right? All of that's dirty. I'm gonna go ahead and move my stuff away so it doesn't get wet because it is a cardboard box. So all of that's coming out, that's normal, right? That's normal because that's everything that your pool vacuum has been sucking up and maintaining inside of your filter here, right? So that's normal. You're gonna get that out. If your pool was real dirty, I mean, it could be green sometimes. If your pool was green and you were doing heavy maintenance on your pool, you might have to clean this out multiple times, just depending how bad your pool is. I do it quite often as it starts to slow down, obviously the flow will die out as well, and you won't get that much. But there's still lots of dirt and all that in here, so you want to try to get as much of this out prior to opening it up, right? So what I do is I leave the valve open, okay? I turn that on, I turn my pump on, and it allows this to shoot out water. They say 2 minutes, that's what's recommended. Sometimes it's 1. It just depends. You want it to start shooting out clear water, because it's going to shoot out a bunch of dirty water still, because it's all stuck again in here. It's all sitting at the bottom, right? So I turn mine on to speed up the process. Again, I've been doing this for 15 years, so I'm more confident, more comfortable with doing it. You do it as you feel is best for you. It's not going to hurt it. As soon as the water comes clear, you just shut it off. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on, and you're going to see that shoot out a little bit more dirty water, and then you'll see it come out clear. So I'm going to turn it on, and it's going to take some time, right? It's going to kick on. You're going to start to hear it kick on. You're going to see all that coming out, right? See all that? So that's all the dirt and the sand, right? I live in the high desert of Victorville, California, and we get a lot of wind, and there's a lot of dirt that flies around. So all of that just sits at the bottom, right? So if I didn't turn that on, all of that would be in here, and that's okay, but it makes it harder for a cleanup. So I do this to help me speed up my cleanup, okay? Again, this is stuff that I've learned over time. I've also cleaned pools as a teenager in high school for work, right? Because I was used to doing it. So we're gonna let all that stuff come out. That's normal, right? Nothing bad's gonna happen. That's normal, that comes out there. We'll go ahead and let all of that come out. Now we've been having some really bad winds lately, so that's why it's a little darker. So we're starting to get a little clearer, right? You'll see because my pressure valve is open, I got water coming out, no biggie. Close that, it stops that. Me, I always put my hand here, gather some water, see that it's clear, make sure. I'll give mine a little shake, just because I know there's more in there. So you see as I shook it, it kind of stirred it up at the bottom and more shot out, which is fine. I can shut that off now. So now that I have that off, I'm going to go ahead and open up my filter here. Before I do that, I'm going to grab my mallet, right, my rubber mallet, and my flathead screwdriver, because I'm going to need them. This is the point where you would need these tools. And in making that right there is fine. Still got a little bit of water, still a little bit of air in there. Go ahead and set these down. Now I'm going to turn this here, because I got to get to this and I got to get this off. Now be mindful, you have a washer here. And the funny thing is I turn this, I can't stop the washer from moving like you think you would. As you get closer, you're going to want to stick your hand, something like that, because it will fall off. And then this will spring open, and that's fine. I'm out of the way, it's not going to hit me. You can see this is turning, and this is starting to open up. That's what it's supposed to do. How that shot open, that washer just fell. So you just gather these two pieces, move them out of the way so you don't lose them. You need those. Simply allow this to come off. It opens up. Pop this loose, right? This will come open. Take it off. Again, set it out of your way. You're not going to need it till you clean. Now I'm gonna need my flathead. You can pop this off with some pressure. I try not to do that because if I break this, I'm gonna be making a trip to my either pool supply or to Home Depot, Lowe's, hardware store. 9 times out of 10, they're not gonna carry this. You're gonna have to get it from your pool supply, and hopefully they have them in stock, right? So that's why I use these tools. To me, it's easier and it's gonna save you time and money in the long run. So I'll simply just wedge it between the two, because this is 2 pieces. Get my mallet, stick it in there, get it far enough. I'll see it itself start to pop. Then I'll hold this, get this, turn it a little bit, right? See how it's popping up there? Now me, I always use the same spot because it helps. There I have it up. Let that pressure out. Makes it easier because it's not holding it down no more. I'm gonna pop this. This is heavy, so be mindful of that. Again, set it out of your way. You won't need it, okay? So now you can see they're dirty, but not as bad. So again, I'm gonna wanna take this off here. It's just a little wing nut. You're gonna wanna unscrew that. This will come off. Some of them have a washer. If it has a washer, again, be careful, because if that falls down, then there's another issue you can potentially have. Simply take this off, remove that, and that's it. And we'll wash this off, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and get my water hose, clean this all out, get it all ready. I'm gonna stop the video because it does take some time, sometimes 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how bad. You keep it on backwash. It allows, as you wash it out, for all the water to keep coming out. Okay, so you're gonna want to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video, clean this, and when I get ready to put it back together again, we'll pick up the video from there. Thank you. Okay, so I've already cleaned this all off. When you clean this, you can actually take this whole unit out and clean it. I prefer not to. Sometimes it's kind of a pain in the butt to get it back in there. So to alleviate that headache and that frustration, I just clean it in there. When I clean it, I'll make sure I pull these back. And you're gonna wanna make sure you do a thorough cleaning, okay? And these here are called your grits, right? These could probably be replaced within the next month or 2. I should probably get some new ones. They do make a difference whether they're old or new. If they're old, you'll start to see all the stuff inside here poking through. These will be ripped, right? This one's starting to tear a little bit, so they could use a replacing. They're not that expensive. You just tell them the size, how tall they are, and they'll get what you need, okay? But I prefer to clean this in here. A good tip also is you have a ring here, right? This little gasket. You want to make sure that's lubed up, okay? If it's a little wobbly, really loose, it's not staying in there nice and intact, it's kind of opened up on the sides, you're going to want to get that replaced. You can take it to your pool supply, tell them what type of filter you have, what kind of pump you have, and they'll give you all that information, right? But you're going to want to make sure that this is in good condition, okay? So now that we got this, we're going to want to put it together, right? So last thing we took off was that little device here, okay? So it's here. Give it a quick little rinse. Doesn't have to be nothing major. Just to get all that gunk off inside. All right. So I got my frame, got my wing nut. Gonna stick this through here. Doesn't matter exactly where. I got to get this all thread here, right through the hole. Set it on there. It's got these little teeth. You're gonna want to just make sure that they're sitting flat. If they're not, they're probably caught up on one of the filters. You just move them around, get it to where you need it to be. As soon as it sits flat, you're good to go. Put this back on. Hand tight. Good enough, right? It's just to keep this from falling off. I'm gonna grab my top here. Again, this is heavy, so be cautious when you put this on. Try to get it to sit as flat as possible, right? You are gonna have that little gap there. On some spots, you can even it out. No big deal. When we put our casing around here, it's gonna take care of that. Another tip is on the valve, you're gonna want that valve to shoot water out, right? That's what it's designed to do. You're gonna probably want that to go away from your pump and your motor over here. If that gets wet, no big deal. It is outside, it's meant to take water beating. But I like to avoid that because it's gonna shoot water out. So I just simply adjust it, no big deal, right? I can still read my pressure gauge here. Got a pressure gauge there that tells you how much of it is filthy. Different pumps have different settings, right? This one here, I don't really follow that. I kind of just go off of what the pool has set up, okay? You can see there's the readings. Typically when it shows 20, it should be ready for a backwash. 10 should be when it's nice and clean. 30 is telling you, hey, your filter needs to be opened up and cleaned out. Again, I don't use that, just from experience. They have given me misreadings. I go off of how much my vacuum in the pump in the pool, I'm sorry, is moving. That kind of tells me what I need to do. And then I'll backwash it and see how that works. If I know it's not moving like it does when it's freshly cleaned, I know it's probably time to open it up, right? And it doesn't take that long. It's better to be safe than sorry, have it nice and clean, so whenever you're ready to go swimming, it's time, right? So make sure that's on. I'm gonna grab my pieces here, get them close to me because I am gonna need them right now. I'm gonna put this on. Make sure I have it on there properly, and it's designed to open like that, right? That's how it's designed. Put this on, get it on there. First time you do it, it could be a little bit of trouble. You'll know if it's on right just by looking all the way around, making sure it's even. So this has to be shut like that, and what happens is this threading is gonna go through, right? When I'm ready, it's gonna go through. So I'm gonna open this here, right? Have that like that. When we took it off earlier, it was on the opposite side. The reason I did it this way is to show you that it doesn't really matter. It's just whatever you prefer. But you can see, I'm gonna get it as hand tight as I can, and I really don't have no threading there, right? So that's where this comes into play, because I can tell I'm tight here, but I'm not tight there. So this gap that you see here, and then you see it gets nice and tight, well, that gap is not allowing this to close. The only way you're gonna achieve that is a rubber mallet. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret here. I found out the hard way that this is what you really need. All the pools that I've ever dealt with, I've never needed one of these till I bought this house and it had this kind of pump. So I had to go to my hardware store and purchase one. So what I'm gonna do is, I don't have any thread here to screw to. So with the gap there and it being tight here, I know I need to hit this on this side. So the rubber mallet comes into play there. So I still hold that together so it don't spring open, and as I smack that, you see the thread come through, right? That's what we need. Just switch hands here, put my washer back on. Get this started. Once it's started, you can release your hands, and this is gonna close up. It's never gonna get completely closed. It'll get close. Once it gets tight there, I'll go around and hit it a couple times with the mallet to loosen it up and then get that nice and tight, right? That's the whole point, is you want it nice and tight. You can't have this leaking. If it leaks, then your pump's not gonna run right, your filter's not gonna run right. They all gotta work right together, okay? So go around, all the way around I'll go. Give it a couple smacks. Don't have to be too hard. Get it hand tight. And that's it, okay? So now I have that. Remember, it's on backwash, so we're gonna pull that lever back towards us so it can go to filter. Now it's on. I can turn my pump on. right? Because I need this to fill up with water. So before I do that, I always check my basket. Simply open this here. It's pretty empty. I'll just kind of dump stuff out there, right? See, so there was a rock there. That means a rock went through, which could be bad, right? So I'll give this a quick wash. A lot of sticks and all that gets stuck in here. Everything that comes through your little vacuum that's in your pool, this is the basket it goes in. So I put it back. So my water level in there is good enough. Sometimes if it's too low, they recommend you getting your water hose and filling that up with water. It does work, but it's only gonna let you get so high because this has where the water is receiving from. So once it gets to that level, it's gonna go back in, right? So that's good level. This also has a little ring inside. You're gonna wanna make sure that's lubed up also. Get that at any pool supply. You're not gonna find that at a hardware store, right? And all it's gonna say is, you know, lubrication for gaskets, O-rings for your pool or spa, and it works fine, okay? So I'm gonna put this back on, get it on there, tighten it. I'm gonna turn my pump on, start. I override the fork because I want it to run quicker for me. You're gonna start to hear this kick on. It's gonna start to fill this up with water, right? It's all part of the process. You'll see the water start to shoot in there. Once that starts to fill, it's gonna build pressure, and you'll have water pressure all right here. You'll see it. If you look closely, you'll see all the water coming in. Shouldn't have any water leaking from here. If you have water leaking from there, you might have a gasket. When this happens, you're gonna have water in your pool bubble. That's just from the pressure, right? It's just shooting out all the air. That's normal, right? If it's not shooting that out, there might be a problem, a bigger problem, leaks or whatnot. So once this gets going, you're gonna hear it kick on, full go. This is good. Once it's on full blast, I always give it a nice little turn because of the pressure, right? Just to double check. Nice little extra turn there. Make sure it's good. Now I gotta open this valve up to release all the air that's inside, right? You're gonna hear it. Once the water shoots out, I know I can turn it off. All the air's out. That's just air that's inside of your actual filter, okay? That water there tells me, okay, I'm good. Shut it off, okay? So now comes the spot for the DE, right? Before I do that, I make sure I got no water leaking. I look good there, no water leaking there. So I'm ready for DE, and I'll show you where the DE goes. This is still part of the filter. You need that DE because what it does is it cycles through and it attaches itself to the grits inside, okay? Now, that's what holds all the dirt and all the sand, everything. Anything that gets inside, that's what holds it. If you don't have that DE attached to those grits, it's not really gonna work properly. You're gonna clean this more often than you really need to. So let me grab my DE here. Okay, you can buy this DE, again, at your pool supply, or you can even buy it at Home Depot, Lowe's, that's what's in my area. Any hardware store that's in your area, typically that carries chlorine and acid, they're gonna carry this, okay? Open my gate. So in here is my actual steamer. Take this little basket out. If it's dirty, I'll clean it. This is where I put my DE. They sell DE measuring cups. You just go to your pool supply house, tell them what size gallon pool you have. They'll tell you the right amount. Again, I've been doing this for 15 plus years, I kind of know just from doing it. I recommend going to your pool supply house, gathering the proper cup that you're gonna need. It just makes it easier for you, okay? I only need about 5.5, 6. You just simply stick it in there. With the pool going, it will dissolve, starts to work inside the filter. That's 6. I usually put a little bit more because have not been grabbing full cups. Close that up. Make sure I get all the powder off the side of the wall here. It'll circle itself. Put that back inside. Close that. And that's pretty much it. Now that my pool's going, my vacuum should be moving. If my vacuum's not moving, then I obviously got some type of pressure problem. I'm not getting the proper pressure coming out, right? So it should be moving. As it's moving right now, it's working perfectly fine. If it's not moving, then you're gonna want to troubleshoot. If you're not sure how to do that, you can search some videos. You can always call a pool guy, right? You're gonna do whatever you feel is best for you. That's my video. I hope it was very informative. I hope you liked it. Thank you.